Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Howdy y'all. This is red.olaughlin. Talking Heads today on the USA Global TV and Radio Network, live from Houston, Texas. And just another wonderful day here in paradise. Another day, 80, 82 degrees. Not our typical winter, but certainly an enjoyable one. And let's go ahead and get started in the show. Let me put some slides up so we can talk appropriately. Talking Heads, what would I do? This is a series I started late last year. And I pick a topic and say, well, knowing what I know about that topic from my research, what would I do? What can I share with other people? What's of value out there that would help people improve their health or their wellness? So today, we're streaming live on Amazon Fire, Zizzle TV, E360 TV, YouTube, Android TV, Apple TV. I have simulcast going on my two Facebook channels, and there's a whole lot more, plus the fact that we have some follow-up podcasts and stuff. Anyway, my programs are for awareness and education. That's what they're primarily set up for. If you're looking for the live shows, they can be found on YouTube. They can be found as far as the archive shows for Talking Heads, also for my corner bookstore and the Wise One shows. Just go ahead and change out Talking Heads to the other two. As I said, simulcast for my author stream, and I'm also having all of my TV shows available on my website. If and when that ever decides to be published, each time I talk with them, there's just one more little thing. It's amazing how long it's taken just to get one little thing fixed, and then we discover another. You don't need to go down that road today. I'm a researcher. I've never been in the medical field, never been in the pharmaceutical field, but I fell in love with chemistry very early in my life. I got my first degree in it, immediately got an invitation to Vietnam, never got a chance to practice it. Have a total of 5 academic degrees, all in different fields, 7 professional certifications, mostly in different fields. I was in the Navy for 31 years, 20 in the reserves, the other all on active duty, been all over the world. I got involved with Halliburton in a program called Taproot, which when something fails, particularly failed in the field for oil industry, they wanted to know why. Well, why did it fail? Okay, well, why did that happen? Okay, I understand. Okay, so tell me, why did that happen? And so you go down about 7 layers of why to figure out what was the root cause of the problem. And then you fix that, and then you monitor again. Was that really and truly the root cause of that problem? If it was, the problem disappears. And I look at that as the same way in my health. Is there something that I can find that's causing something to happen chemically, because that's where my specialty's at? What can I do to change that? If this particular chemical is being activated because of something, let's say pain, is there something that will stop it, slow it down? And a lot of times there are. And that's what I love to research. That's what I love to write about, speak about. And today we're going to go into some of those little nuances about gut health that maybe nobody knows about, or not many of us know. Been married for 56 years, 2 kids, 3 grandkids, and we just celebrated our first great-grandson's first birthday about 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. I'm a best-selling author, written 8 books, independent publisher. I've helped publish over 40 books for other people. Distinguished Toastmaster, writer. I have over 1,000 original content articles published on LinkedIn. And again, this program is for educational purposes only. And on the USA Global TV and Radio Network for 2024, my show, The Wise Ones, which is immediately following this one on that network, I was the number 2 and number 4 TV host for those shows, number 6 and number 2. I have this thing I've been doing a little bit now for the last couple of months, and I started a program in late 2024 saying, let's get started early on 2025 for New Year's resolutions. So I have my starting figures. I identified what I wanted, and I want my audience to be my accountability partner. So as we start each show, at least for another month through the end of March is my original plan date. We'll see how things go, but right now it's going to be at least through the end of March. My starting weight was there. I lost almost 5 pounds last week. Managed to gain another pound back this week. Not a great week. Body mass index, not something that I think is a real value in the world, but it's something that's measurable. It went down almost 1 full notch last week. It's come back up 0.2. Body fat, no change. Subcutaneous fat, no change. Almost no change on visceral fat, and a slight bump in basal metabolic rate. An okay week, not great, but I realize that things go up, things come down, and they cycle, and the trend right now is downward, and I think that's the good part. One of the books I have written is called The Joy of Ageless Health, and it covers a lot about nutrition that we're talking about, our lifestyle choices. So for this particular series on gut health, I think this book is one of the better ones that I have written. So gut health. You are what you eat. We've heard that. Actually, it came out from a textbook back in 1825 by Jean Anselme Biot-Saurin. I'm not sure how you actually pronounce his name, but he was the one that coined the term, you are what you eat. And it's so very, very true. There's another term coined by Michael Gershon, Dr. Michael Gershon, your gut is your second brain. And it absolutely is true. We're going to talk about that a lot today. Hippocrates, he talks about food being our medicine, but he also said all disease begins in the gut. And so very true. If you start looking at what actually happens, 95% of our illnesses start as inflammation at the cellular level, chronic low-level inflammation, and develop from there. Well, our immune system should normally be able to handle that. But when it doesn't, what caused the immune system to go awry? More times than not, probably the gut. So we hear the term, trust your gut, your intuition. And it works both in here in the brain and down here in the gut. So it's one of those things it's pretty important. So what is the real overall definition of gut health? It's the overall well-being of our GI tract. And that GI tract, gastrointestinal tract, starts literally up here in our mouth, goes down to our stomach, goes down to our intestines, and ends up in our colon. And so we have to have the right balance of digestion, absorption, and the enhancement, the care and nurturing of our immune function. And then one of the things that becomes a sticky wicket is our intestinal permeability, because when that's intact and everything's working normally, well, we're considered a pretty happy camper. But when not, we're not. Absolutely. I can remember in California, I was invited over to a good friend's house, and she fixed spaghetti. And one of the better spaghetti meal, I went back for seconds and thirds. And I absolutely ate way too much. My stomach was bloated. I couldn't hardly move. Probably not the first time in my life, but one of the few that I remember that I just absolutely overate. I still do that, nothing to that degree, but sometimes when you get in a place where it's all you can eat for whatever, and you go back for seconds and thirds. I've learned my lesson too many times. Get a smaller plate. If you go back for seconds, maybe now you had as much as you had on a regular old size plate. But we do have a tendency sometimes to overeat. As we say, our brain is bigger than our stomach, and our eyes are bigger than our stomach. And when something tastes good, we just chop it down. We have this thing called the gut-brain axis, and it's one of the it's our vagus nerve that runs down our back. And that's how our gut talks to our brain and back and forth. So our gut actually creates chemicals that affect the brain. But the brain also creates chemicals that affect our gut function. So we have a two-way exchange of communication going on. And in reality, we get feelings in both areas from the same thing. I can get a feeling of hunger pains. I can actually feel it in my gut. And if things are not, I don't feel right, this is not the best position to be in. Sometimes I get a little bit of that anxiety, but it's coming first from the gut before it gets to our brain. So the gut health is really something that's critical. Uh, if I want to have a good gut brain connection, I need to have my gut operating pretty well. And you're going to hear this more than once today because our lifestyle choices and what we do affect our gut probably more so than just about anything else. And it's not insidious because it makes sense, but it happens all the time. If I don't have fiber in my gut to nourish that microbiome that's down there, and I'm talking about both the soluble and insoluble fiber that typically comes from choosing the right foods to eat, then I'm going to have a problem. I'm not going to have that right balance of everything I need. If I'm eating foods that provide me probiotics, or I'm taking a supplement that's a probiotic, and I have my prebiotics, I usually refer to them as the fertilizer for my probiotics, then I am not getting my probiotics as enough nourishment as they need. So I need my prebiotics and my probiotics, and I need to avoid antibiotics. Antioxidants, okay, those are the things that go down and kill as much inflammation as possible. So the foods I choose, like blueberries, one of the best antioxidants out there, it's going to get in there and become an anti-inflammatory food that's fighting the bad stuff in the gut and providing that that care and feeding that my microbiome and my gut needs. Now we have our nervous system, and one part of it's called the enteric nervous system, ENS, and it's got 500 million neurons. And these neurons, the same neurons that are in the brain, are in your gut, and that's one of the reasons we call our gut our second brain. But there's so many things being created chemically that are similar as far as your hormones, that it's more than just the neurons that are there. It's the hormones and all the rest of the whole package. So yeah, we do have a second brain. Okay, if I want to improve my gut health, what do I do? Well, I mentioned a moment ago the aspect of lifestyle choices. Well, if I'm adding fiber to my diet, great. Fermented foods, or that's a probiotic. Stress management. Well, if I'm not managing my stress, I'm creating hormones that are going to upset my digestion. It's going to upset the microbiome balance in my gut. It's going to create a problem. So stress management is critical. It's a lifestyle choice. My diet, choosing the right foods. Sleep. Again, good quality sleep. Your body has to repair itself. That's when the sleep allows our body that chance to do it. Uh, Probiotics, talked about those. Avoiding antibiotics, talked about that. Hydration. Our bodies require a certain level of hydration. Too little, it's hurtful. Too much, a major problem. So we have to have that right electrolyte balance and be hydrated. Now, I put down exercise, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later on. But exercise is super critical, it really and truly is, for gut health. And it doesn't matter whether the exercise is lifting weights or running or walking or swimming, but some level of exercise, preferably outdoors, fresh air, sunshine, but some level of exercise on a regular basis, weekly basis, is needed to keep your gut health near optimum. Our diet should be avoiding certain kinds of processed foods, and you're going to hear the term ultra processed is when things are just really a mismatch of everything that you don't need in your body. Eating slowly. If we wolf down everything, I'm going to mention the guy's name, Horace Fletcher. A little over 100 years ago, he was popular. And he talked about eating slowly. Fletcherizing was a term they were using, basically chewing your food about 30, 40 times before you swallow it. Choosing healthy fats, and many more things. Again, we're looking at how can we improve our gut health. Well, when we do that, we're improving our overall health, our overall body, everything. Dark chocolate is a great diet option to have. It creates stem cells. It helps the microbiome in the body. Eating or not eating, in this case, fasting, allows our body to have some level of rest. And all of our organs need rest, our liver, everything. But our stomach, our gallbladder, our intestines, all of those need rest in order to repair itself. So when you're sleeping, that's the repair time. If you're not constantly eating something 6 meals a day, you're not allowing some of the other functions of your body to operate properly. If I wanted to reset my gut health, what do I do? Well, probably the most ideal would be to go on an extended fast, 3 to 5 days. That resets so many things. There's a process in the body called autophagy. And autophagy basically allows the body to go in cell by cell, clean it out, recycle everything, and basically give you brand new cells, rebuilds the immune system, does all sorts of things that are absolutely amazing as far as our health goes. But most of us have never heard the term autophagy. But we can accomplish a little bit of that resetting by just looking at that 16, 24 hours intermittent fast. But a full reset on an intermittent fast is probably going to take a month or longer. We can stop smoking, exercise. Again, exercise is a natural stress management option. But when you look at athletes and they test their microbiome and they start exercising, they're doing this and that, and all of a sudden that whole microbiome changes. It really becomes a major support function for the body. Insulin resistance is under control. Our metabolisms are operating ideally. Just a lot of things that are happening that should be happening properly. So when I stop exercising, they notice that everything goes back to pre-exercise levels. So that exercise really does help things, but it's a thing that has to be maintained. 1976 was the break point in the United States where obesity really gained an anchor. And everything has been a problem since then because of the food industry. We start processing foods differently. We add extra chemicals for this to make it taste better, look better, last longer on the shelf. Lots of things were added, and it's called ultra processed food. Now we have processed food because if it's in a package of some sort, it's processed to some level. That processing destroys a lot of the nutrition, but it makes it look pretty, makes it taste good. You know, if you've had ice cream, that's one of those things that you get ice cream someplace and it's so unctuous, it coats the tongue, it feels so velvety. I remember as a kid going to a Five and Dime and I would get a milkshake. And you can't get these anymore because the milk isn't the same, everything is not there. But you drink that and it would just be probably one of the best tastes that your tongue has ever had. But again, we don't have that anymore. But the processing in the foods make the foods last longer. In some cases, in theory, become healthier, but not necessarily. But one of the things we can do is avoid toxins, and those are some of the things that are in those ultra processed foods. They're also in skincare products. You put shampoo on, underarm deodorant, lipstick, it doesn't matter. There's toxins all over the place. Those toxins get into the body, they settle in our fat cells, they create problems in our liver, they create problems all over the place. But for a gut health, we need to look at more omega-3s, in other words, our healthy fats, coconut oil, omega-3, and minimize the amount of omega-6s, our vegetable oils. Both of them are essential fatty acids, omega-3s and omega-6s, but we need more omega-3s. Actually, we need a ratio, ideally of 1-to-1, but anything more than 4-to-1 omega-6s to omega-3s starts becoming an inflammatory condition in our bodies. Limit our caffeine, limit our sugar, and it's going to make our gut a little bit healthier. And reading labels, knowing what you're putting in your body, and making the right lifestyle choices as far as what you're doing. We talked about how do I want to destroy my gut? Well, ultra processed foods. If that's all I'm eating, got a problem. If all I'm eating is foods from restaurants or fast foods, that's a problem because I'm not getting the fiber I need. I'm getting way too much omega-6. I'm getting a lot of toxins. I'm getting a lot of sugar. I'm getting a lot of saturated fats. lots of things in those choices that we make. And if we come home late at night, we don't exercise, we don't manage our stress, we don't get good sleep, we OD a little bit on alcohol, lots of things affect our gut. So if I'm eating a late meal and I happen to have a couple, 3 or 4 or 5 glasses of wine, the alcohol causes our digestion to stop, absolutely stop. Until the alcohol is processed through our liver, nothing happens in our gut. It's just on hold. So you process the alcohol. Now it's 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Your digestive process starts back up again. And some people, it's happened to me many times. Boom, all of a sudden I wake up. It's 2:19 in the morning. What's going on? Well, my body is now transitioning from getting rid of alcohol to now digesting. And so it disrupts my sleep. My sleep is disrupted. My body's repair mechanisms are upset. So a lot of issues. But stress, alcohol, smoking, all become problems that affect our gut health. Antibiotics, sometimes you need them. There's no doubt, but you need to talk to your doctor about when can you be on probiotics, and when you are, make sure you're taking your prebiotics with them. I put milk products in here because a lot of milk products have antibiotics in them. Read the labels on. Usually, it's on the front. It says no antibiotics, no human growth, no hormone. Read the labels because it's very, very important. So on the milk products, there may be some things there that you can buy another product and be much better off. Another gut health destroyer, travel. I've been to 61 countries, been all over the place, back and forth, time zone changes. I used to be stationed in California, and I'd fly out to Bahrain for 2, 3, 4 days, turn around, come back, and fly out a week later to Korea, back and forth. I was fortunate one time to leave California, go to Virginia for 2 days for a conference, fly to Bahrain for 4 days for an exercise to start. I get there 2 days ahead of time. I got 2 or 3 units of mine that are working there, get them started on the right foot. And then because of the exercise schedule, I then flew to Korea. Again, I had 2 or 3 units reporting there, get them going 2 days ahead of time, 2 days after the exercise start. I fix whatever I can, and then I get out of Dodge so that they can do their job. And I flew back to California. So my only one way around the trip, California to California, in about 10 days. It was an interesting time, but circadian rhythms, oh, absolutely. Time zone changes, my goodness, you can't believe how much that does to you. But it changes our microbiome because of the time zone, the foods, the stress, just so many things there. And if we're traveling a lot inside the aircraft and we're landing and it's after dark and we're sleeping during the daytime, the sunlight has a major impact on our gut health. And we get that IR that gets into our brains, goes down our spinal column, gets into our cells. And we talked about this a while back with regard to melatonin. It's producing 95% of the melatonin, but that melatonin is going to our cells. And that's a different aspect of melatonin that comes out of our circadian rhythm. Because if I'm looking at my normal melatonin that's produced by me closing my eyes and going to sleep at night, I'm no longer in sunlight. That's produced in the pineal gland in the brain, and that's what gets into the rest of our body. But it's about 5%. So it's not a whole lot, but it has a major factor in that circadian rhythm because we get that out of cycle and things we don't want to have happen, or we end up losing a couple days trying to get back to normal. But we see a lot of problems with our gut in bloating and heartburn, constipation, and other issues. Just we don't feel right. We don't feel right here. We don't feel right down in our gut. I usually look at my mouth as the beginning part of my stomach. If I'm eating something, the saliva is really the first part of our digestive system. And if I just chomp down something and swallow it, well, I have big chunks in my stomach that the stomach has to do something with. But as Horace Fletcher used to say, Fletcherize, chew it 30 times. And what you end up having, literally, you've chewed your food down to the consistency of baby food. It gets into the stomach and it's ready to go. The stomach doesn't have to churn back and forth to take these big clumps of food and make them small enough in order to be processed digestively in the appropriate manner. Now, I have a certain level of stomach acid as I get older, it gets weaker. But if I sit there and I guzzle water as I'm eating or any other liquid, it doesn't matter, wine, beer, tea, if I'm diluting my stomach acid as I'm eating. Now, my stomach acid doesn't have the potency to do everything stomach acid is supposed to do. And I start having problems. But that stomach acid, when everything is working normally, kills any bacteria that's coming in with the food, starts the enzymes processing for all the rest of the factors that are supposed to going on. So when we look at our stomach health, the lifestyle factors of everything we've talked about for the last couple of years, everything boils down to lifestyle. Our foods we choose, stress management, exercise, sleep, all of these things become a factor, and especially with our gut health. So if I hydrate 30 minutes before I drink a glass of water, I have my food, and then afterwards, then I have another glass of water. That allows my stomach acid adequate amount of time to reach optimal levels and to digest the food properly before it starts going through our duodenum into our intestines. If I overconsume, and again, I'm not talking about just that one glass of wine, but if I'm talking about overconsuming on alcohol, then my gut health becomes an issue. Ulcers, acid reflux, gastritis, the lining of the stomach, heartburn. A lot of the issues happen because of an overabundance of something that shouldn't be there, alcohol. Okay. Our gut lining, major portion of our health, and this is what that microbiome does, is it gives us the best ideal situation to take the food from our stomach, extract out the nutrients that our body needs, pass it through the gut lining. There is a protein called zonulin that opens up tiny little holes in our gut lining to let the nutrients pass through, but not all the rest of the stuff that's in our gut. And so it goes through, passes through the immune system. About 80% of our gut contains our immune system. So it passes through, gets through the immune system, and whatever gets through the immune system passes into our bloodstream and into our bodies. So our gut lining influences our body health, because if our gut lining is allowing things to impact our immune system, now we have a problem, because the stuff is not, our nutrients aren't getting there, and we may actually be creating more problems. I'll talk about just in a moment with regard to the rest of our body. But if I'm overindulging in alcohol, that has a tendency to create a problem with the gut lining. Gluten, casein are all three of those are pro-inflammatory, and they're creating an inflammatory condition in our microbiome and our gut lining and just overall gut health. Vitamin D and L-glutamine are two nutritional options that have been known to help heal or help the gut lining recover. But we also have unhealthy fats, nutritional deficiencies. It's just not more just, I get two things, vitamin D and L-glutamine. Yeah, it's more than just that. Big item with leaky gut. This is where those little holes in our gut open up and become huge holes. Now, instead of just passing the nutrients through that go through the immune system into the bloodstream, now I'm passing everything that's in the gut, all the sludge, all the crap, the toxins, everything that can pass through that big hole is passing through, because when the hole is small, only the nutrients get through. The rest of the stuff doesn't. So now it goes through our immune system says, oh, I can't handle, and all of a sudden it gets overpowered. And somewhere along the way we do this, and we end up with what's called an autoimmune disease. Instead of our immune system going through our body and working to fix this and that and whatever, now it's starting to attack us. So things that we would normally never expect to happen. There's over 100 of these autoimmune diseases, and you can have more than one at one time. But typically rheumatoid arthritis, type 1 diabetes, multiple sclerosis, lupus, celiac, and there's others. And when you have these autoimmune diseases, they're very, very, very difficult to address. And so gut health is one of those things that you have to really be cautious of when you have an autoimmune disease. Gluten is probably one of the biggest causes. Now, we can have a gluten intolerance. We can have a gluten sensitivity. We can have a gluten insensitivity. There's just moderations of what gluten can do, but it's a protein found in wheat, barley, and rye. And if you go back 60 years ago, 80 years ago, when wheat was being grown, had very small heads on the wheat, and our gluten levels were very low. We didn't have really a gluten problem in the United States. Now you take a look at them; they're huge, they're easier to harvest, but the gluten levels are super high. And so we've kind of engineered our wheat to really give us some really tough, powerful gluten molecules. But the gluten is a combination of two things, glutenin and gliadin. And these two molecules form gluten. And they're very abundant in the Western diet. You start looking, well, what about the Mediterranean diet? What about this? Okay. In our standard American diet, Western diet, we happen to have an overabundance of gluten. When you start looking at gluten and what it does, zonulin is a protein that protects our gut lining. Gluten affects zonulin in such a way that zonulin overgrows and causes the micro holes in our gut lining to grow huge and let everything through. Now, some people who are insensitive or sensitive to gluten are also sensitive to dairy. Why? Because casein is a molecule in dairy that is almost a mirror image of gluten. And so if you have a gluten problem, chances are you might have a casein problem. Now, if you get your dairy from Europe, different cows, different butter, different dairy, different everything, a different kind of casein, not the same mirror image of gluten. And so that's an option to consider. So wrapping up a little bit early today, but things happen that way, and so we just handle it the way it comes. So if I'm looking at good gut health, what am I looking for? Lifestyle choices. Am I exercising? And I'm not talking about just going out and running. I'm talking about a variety, stretching, uh, balance, aerobic, non-aerobic, and getting out in sunshine and fresh air. It really does help immensely. Fletcherizing, in other words, chewing our food more finely, allowing the stomach not have to overwork in order to get those nutrients out. Maintaining a level of hydration that our body needs. Fiber and balanced nutrition. We need everything possible to keep that microbiome in the gut balanced and 100% effective. And the way we end up maintaining that balance is with some level of fasting. If you can do more than an intermittent fast, more than 16 hours a day, fantastic. If you can do a day or two, fantastic, even better. If you can do a 3 or 5 day fast, great. But these are things that can help because it's not just the fasting that allows the gut or the liver or some other organ to recover, but it also allows the body to heal itself through autophagy. Okay. I have several books out there available. As my website's up, you can order them there, but they're all available on Amazon. I can be reached at red.olaughlin.com, RED like the color, O'Laughlin, OLAUGHLIN, red@red.olaughlin.com, or red.olaughlin@gmail.com. Now, I check my Gmail account 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day, quite often. I don't check my Red O'Laughlin account maybe once in the morning, once in the evening. Just don't get as much mail there. But my website, red.olaughlin.com. Hopefully, I've been telling people now this for over a month. It's supposed to be released, I think, 4 Fridays ago. It's still in that. Maybe it'll be available tomorrow. I can't promise anymore because I don't know. But it's a whole lot better than the old. The old site's still available. You can find me on there, and the stuff is on there. But I'm having a new website that's created concurrently with that that'll be out very, very shortly. But I have several books, No Matter What You Can Do. It talks about our subconscious mind and how we talk to it. The Joy of Ageless Health talks about those things that cause disease in our body, stress and toxins and radiation, inflammation, infection, diet, and even expectations. Longevity Secrets for Healthy Aging. I cover 2 specific aspects of healthy aging. What causes aging in the body and what can we do about it? There's another dozen, and I'm probably more than likely going to try to update that book later this year, but I talk about those. Alzheimer's is a compilation of over 40 articles I've written about what causes Alzheimer's and what can you do about it. Lots and lots of things out there are involved. I have another book, The Essential, can't even read it now. Anyway, basically, I call it How to Write and Publish a Book for Free. And so that tells you in there, if you want to write a book, here's how you can do it. You want to publish it for free, here's how you can do it. And then my latest book out, not even a month old, is Failure is Not an Option. And I base a lot of that on the U.S. space program and the things they went through. So that being said, I'm concluding my show today and look forward to seeing all you all next week on Talking Heads. So with that, take care. Bye now.
Ever dreamed of hosting your own TV show, sharing your story with a global audience? Now's your chance to shine. At USA Global TV and Radio, we make it easy for you to create, host, and broadcast your very own TV show. Whether you're a storyteller, entrepreneur, or industry expert, we help you bring your vision to life. With our exclusive interview, live streaming, and podcasting training, you'll gain the skills and confidence to captivate your audience. Our global platform ensures your voice is heard worldwide. Join our community of creators who are already making an impact, one show at a time. Step into the spotlight. Host your own TV show on USA Global TV and Radio. Book your discovery call today at usaglobaltv.com. Copyright 2025 USA Global TV and Radio. All rights reserved. Terms and conditions apply. To learn more, visit usaglobaltv.com. Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honored to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting. We're building bridges and changing lives, one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.